Let the word go forth from this time and place to friend and foe alike that the torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans.
And the torch was passed to the first president born in this 20th century. John Fitzgerald Kennedy became the 35th president of the United States, the first Roman Catholic ever elected president. His time as president was to be only 1,000 days, but his impact, in part due to the remarkable advancement of television, film, and videotape, John Kennedy will be forever young, always 46 years or younger. John Kennedy, through the skillful use of radio and television, created a charisma that made him the most popular leader probably in the history of the world because of the all-pervasive television camera and receivers. And despite a narrow victory over Richard Nixon in 1960, the Kennedy mystique had spread to every nook and cranny of America and most of the world. And despite this, John Kennedy made powerful enemies. Many Cubans blamed the Bay of Pigs' defeat on Kennedy and showed great enmity toward him. When President Kennedy was a senator and his brother, Attorney General Robert Kennedy, was counsel for the Senate Rackets Committee, they created much antipathy in both organized labor and organized crime. They were working with Senator McClellan of Arkansas and Senator Barry Goldwater of Arizona. The CIA, which planned the Bay of Pigs, had reason to hate Kennedy, and many of them did. And the arch-conservative J. Edgar Hoover was aware that the Kennedy brothers wanted to curtail his omnipotent power as the director of the FBI. These areas alone were enough to stir the powerful potions of hatred and discontent. Not to forget Fidel Castro, who believed John Kennedy was trying to have him assassinated. However, on a personal basis, John Kennedy had achieved an enormous popularity all over the free world. In Paris, when he went with his wife Jacqueline. In Vienna, with his famous talks with Chairman Nikita Khrushchev of the Soviet Union. In Berlin, where he declared at the Berlin Wall, "I am a Berliner." And of course, his beloved ancestral Ireland. While the election of 1960 was close, most observers believed that Kennedy would win big, a landslide, in 1964, and that his opponent would probably be Senator Barry Goldwater of Arizona. At the time, there were rumors that Kennedy was going to dump his Vice President Lyndon Johnson and run his brother Bobby for Vice President, which simply was not true, and these accusations annoyed the president no end. Often he would say, "I need Lyndon to carry Texas and Georgia if the rest of the South goes Republican." But still, Lyndon Johnson was nervous about this. So Kennedy decided to make a grand tour of the state of Texas in late November of 1963, the year before the election. Liberal Senator Ralph Yarborough, a Democrat, and the then Governor John Connally, a conservative, were quarreling. Lyndon Johnson did not want to take sides, so the great Texas fly-in was planned. Even Jacqueline was petitioned to join in this important trip. Kennedy was popular with the rank and file of Texas, but the extremely conservative element was busy buying great hate advertisements in the newspaper. But on the weekend of November 22nd, Friday morning, after a whirlwind tour that was a great success, John Kennedy was very pleased, especially at how well both he and his wife had been received. Whenever the president traveled, he liked to take a portable record player. He was very fond of music, and that morning he was playing Roger Williams' Yellow Bird. After breakfast in Fort Worth in the morning, the Kennedys were part of a large motorcade and parade in Dallas in the afternoon. President and Mrs. Kennedy were riding in the back seat of an open limousine with Governor Connally in the right front passenger side and the president in the right rear side of the limousine. At 12:30, the president's limousine passed in front of the Texas Depository Bookstore, and from the top of the depository, a series of shots rang out. President Kennedy was struck at the base of the neck and in the head. A bullet also ricocheted and hit Governor Connally on the arm. Jacqueline Kennedy instinctively reached over to protect her husband as Secret Service agents jumped on the car, and it immediately sped to the Parkland Hospital, where 20 minutes later, the President of the United States was pronounced dead.